Well, let's jump into the Iron Maiden thing. You guys were Wolfsbane was supporting
Yeah.
Iron Maiden at one or more, a little tour.
Yeah,
Tell us the story about
you
how.
may call it little if you're using Texas
Yeah,
terminology. You
well,
know,
I don't know. I want you to tell the story because I really don't know. So
it was 33, I think, was the number.
wow,
Sold out shows in the UK.
unreal.
And it was all the places they played as they were coming up and starting from, small theatre venues. You get every theatre in every city in the UK. And this will give you a clue, man, how big Iron Maiden and how important they were. They had every Saturday off on that tour. But you know what I'm saying with that? Your Saturday nights, when you're booking a tour, your Saturday nights, that's where you get your money. That's what gets you there. No, man. Iron Maiden had every Saturday off so Steve could play football. Steve Harris could play. It was incredible. Like, what? And Steve said to me, we're on the tour about 3 shows. He goes, Blaze, can you play football? I said, badly. He goes, well, come and play with us. He goes, it's difficult to get a team together because what would happen there, Steve and the crew, wherever they were, they'd have a match against the local team. So Edinburgh Playhouse, for instance, they had their own football team. So we played against them and all different teams. And it was incredible, man. I was invited to be part of the Iron Maiden football team. It's still my number one tour. Just supporting Iron Maiden is still my number one tour.
I can't.
What we went through, it was just incredible. But that was it. Started in Southampton, I think, was the first gig. And
just for listeners and people watching, what year and what album was Iron Maiden touring?
That was the, for Maiden, was No Prayer for the Dying. And for Wolfsbane, we were just about to we recorded for the tour was called All Hell is Breaking Loose at Little Kathy Wilson's place, produced by the incredible Brendan O'Brien. Just incredible musician producer, and we learned so much from him making that record. It was incredible.
Wow.
That's a whole book, really, of what we learned making that record with him. And we were promoting that came out midway through the tour, and it was incredible. And later Steve told me the story, Steve Harris, and he said, I would hear you warming up and you're singing. You had a lot more than what you did on stage with Wolfsbane. And there were parts of your voice that I found really interesting. And I thought, you'd have sounded really great on this No Prayer for the Dying record. And one of the songs from that, I actually did record with Maiden. I did a live version of it. And that was it, really. When it came to, things folded really with Wolfsbane, and we just couldn't go any further. That was it. Nobody was interested in us. And there was the opportunity to audition for Maiden. Then I gave them a bell. I said, I'd love to audition if, this was after Bruce had gone. And I was very, very lucky. That was the only advantage I had, really, was that I knew them. And I think it was 1,500 people. But
holy shit!
Yeah, it's like that, and I was lucky to be one of 12. Yeah, that was selected for the audition, and you learnt 10 songs, and they were all songs that were in the set regularly. With a Maiden set list about 22, something like that, depending on which tour it is. So these 10 songs were staples, Number of the Beast, Trooper, and things like that. And I learnt those songs, and I just said to myself, you know what, I've done everything I can. for an hour, I'm going to be the lead singer of Iron Maiden and no one can stop me. Because here I am in the rehearsal room. And that's what I did, man. I knew every drum fill of every song, most of the melodies and everything like that. And I didn't start that. The thing was set up at one end of the room with the PA and the wedges, the foldback. I said, can I move that? He goes, yeah, well, if you want. So I was standing with the band, in the band, with Nico right next to me, next to Steve, looking at the guys and everything. And I just went, that's it, man. You take my life, but I'll take yours too. You know, I was like, there it was, man. I was the lead singer of Iron Maiden for that hour. And I just, well, I can't do anything more. And I never thought anything would come of it, you know. I thought my voice is so different to Bruce.
Yeah.
And Bruce is such a lovely guy. I met Bruce years before. We kind of knew each other, and he checked out Wolfsbane and things like this. A lovely, lovely guy. And just as an era, Bruce Dickinson's voice kind of is a hallmark heavy metal voice when you want to describe heavy metal music. And
of course.
what is the essential vocal? You go Rob Halford, Bruce Dickinson. And these are the two giants of our world. And culturally speaking, both incredibly important. To music, it's as incredible and important as Star Wars is to cinema.
Yes.
You know, and
here you go, 50 years into it. 51, 52 years into this shit.
Just incredible. You know, the strength is when I was incredibly lucky to be selected and they chose me. And the sense that I got was they wanted a different voice because on the X Factor album, it kind of turned a corner. And then on Virtual 11, it did again. It was a progressive era of Iron Maiden. And my voice was from a different place than where Bruce's was, you know, the way I produced it and everything. So I think that's why they looked on me so favorably. It's like, you know what? We've done all this. We're going to go in a different, we feel like we're going somewhere different. And this is the voice that we want. And I was lucky to be the right bloke at the right time when we did this. And when I joined the band, Steve Harris said, there is no music written for the next album. We'll do it all together. He said, I don't care who writes the music. It just has to be great music and great songs. And I wrote Man on the Edge with Yannick Gers, became a top 10 hit all over the world, in some countries, #1. And it's still in my set list today. And Maiden played it on their Legacy tour.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen Maiden in recent years, and they still do. The Klansman.
Still do a couple of
Southern Cross. And so, did you write the lyrics for some of those songs, or all of those songs? Or?
Yeah, some of it, and some of it I was just a part of being there because Steve Harris writes a lot of the lyrics.
Yeah, I knew Steve was the primary writer, but how intimidating is that for you to hand Steve a sheet of lyrics?
Yeah. I'll tell you that what is very, very cool, an abiding memory is for the Virtual 11 album, the second album that I did with Maiden, Steve Harris coming into the studio, a little rehearsal studio on the back of his house. And it just had a little, like talking about a little sheet of paper with some pencil on it written. And he goes, what do you think of this? And he had an acoustic bass at that time he played, and he starts whistling, and that was the Klansman. And I said, Steve, I think it's incredible, mate. Are you sure? I said, man, this is going to be huge. And it was a recording. You could feel the goosebumps, something special about this. And it is, I'd say, in the top 50 Iron Maiden songs, that's got to be up there. The Klansman's got to be up there. It's one I do. When I do my set list with, I enjoy the anniversary of the albums that I did, then Klansman is in there. And it's such a huge dramatic song. And then you can draw a line from Klansman and that era, those era of songs, right to my Circle of Stone album. And you can see, right, you go back to those few years, it's only 5 years and 2 albums, but what I learned working with Steve Harris and the guys, you could see, you come right up now to my Circle of Stone album, and the drama of it, the dynamics of it, it comes. I learned how to do that from those times with Iron Maiden. And before that, how a part of the songwriting with Brendan O'Brien and with the guys in Wolfsbane coming through, and then things started to get, for me personally as an artist, from getting the idea from your head to make sense on the record, how it sounded in your head. And it was a bit hit and miss before, but then working with the guys in Maiden, it's like, no, you do this, and then it should do that. And no, you don't go to the chorus then. You go here then. And one thing which it's just stood with me is a thing that Steve Harris said about the writing. The vocal is the most important thing, but the instrumental is as important as the vocal. And that constant spiral of, but the instrumental's as important. The vocal is the most important thing, because everything Maiden do is a song. But the instrumental is as important as the most important thing. So everything's important, but you've got to be invested in that instrumental. And that is something I've taken with my own work. When you listen to the Circle of Stone album, you go, yeah, okay, it's a journey. And that's one of the big things that I learned. In fact, the biggest thing that I learned in Maiden, that every part of that song has to be important, just as important as a chorus or anything else. All of it must be important. And I think you can really feel that on Klansman and songs like that.
What about I'm sorry, Dave, what about when you hear Bruce sing songs, your material?
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's an incredible feeling. Incredible. So, yeah.
I bet. I wish I could be like with you when that song comes on in the room, just standing next to you going, I want to watch Blaze freak the fuck out.
It's just brilliant, man.
Yeah,
I love
man.
Bruce. You know, he's incredible. He's just a marvel, isn't he? In the truest sense of the word. He's
kind of inhuman. You know, he's got this. I don't know what superhuman.